Hello one and all, Jasper here, and for today's Iron Throwdown we will be talking about one of the most outstanding warriors of the Seven Kingdoms, Brienne of Tough, and see how she stands against the most dangerous call to have ever ridden in the Dothraki Sea, Khal Drogo. My dad always told me that a gentleman need always be polite, so ladies first, let's talk about Brienne. The only daughter of Lord Selwyn Tarth, Brienne was not like most girls. I mean, if she was, she wouldn't be on this video. Born with a body that towered over most lads who were her senior, she was incredibly gifted in a martial lifestyle, so it's no wonder why she drifted to pursue it. Her first fight that we know about was with a man named Sir Humphrey Wagstaff, her third betrothal arrangement. He insisted that once they were wed, she would need to start acting like a proper lady. She responded by saying only a man who could best her in combat could ask her of that, which resulted in Sir Humphrey riding away with 3 broken bones and a broken betrothal. This victory is actually more impressive than one might understand. Brienne was only 16 at the time, so not incredibly experienced, nor even fully developed, yet she bested a fully grown man. Granted, he was over 60 years old, so hardly in his prime, but still I feel it should be noted. Skipping ahead by 4 years, we find her devoting herself to Renly Baratheon, after winning a large melee where hundreds of knights competed. She bested many a knight who had mocked and ridiculed her, but most impressively, besting one of the most famous knights in the land, Sir Loras. As her reward, she was named to Renly's Kingsguard, and stands by his side for the rest of his life.
Brienne of Tough, you may ask anything of me you desire. It is within my power. It is yours.
Your Grace, I ask the honor of a place in your Kingsguard.
Which was about 1 week, maybe 2. After Renly was assassinated by some dark baby magic, her fellow Kingsguard, Sir Aemon Curry, attacked her, believing her to be the killer, though the battle is inconclusive as Catelyn Stark knocks him out from behind. Later on, she is tasked with taking Jaime Lannister to King's Landing, and a few fights take place against rogues and bandits. She pushes a boulder onto a boat, real fun stuff. But probably her most impressive feat takes place here. She fights and beats a malnourished prisoner chained at the wrists. You know, when you explain it like that, it's not nearly as impressive. But for those of you who don't know, this is Jaime fucking Lannister, considered to be one of the greatest fighters ever to live, so besting him, even with a decent handicap, is quite the accomplishment. Jaime's thoughts during the fight shed some light on her capabilities. It's clear that she is stronger than him. How much so is hard to say. He is quoted as saying she is as strong as Gregor Clegane, though not as pretty, but I think it's safe to say this is an exaggeration or jape. More likely she is comparable to the younger brother, Sandor Clegane. Once she and Jaime reach King's Landing, she is then tasked to find and protect Sansa Stark, and Jaime outfits her for the journey. Speaking of, we should probably talk about her arms and armor. She wears a mail hauberk, likely with gambeson underneath. She will not have access to her blue plate since she abandoned it when Renly was killed, so this lighter fitting protection will have to suffice in this little bout. But I have yet to talk about probably the greatest piece of her equipment, her sword Oathkeeper. A Valyrian steel blade, lighter and stronger than steel. It's the perfect material for a blade, and it pairs well with her shield that she had repainted with the coat of arms of her ancestor, Sir Duncan the Tall. Once setting off, Brienne makes good use of Oathkeeper, slaying all sorts of brigands and outlaws, each time heavily outnumbered but still claiming victory, or at the very least surviving. But can she best the greatest Dothraki warrior to ever live? Khal Drogo, a man who even before he was 30 commanded a Khalasar of 40,000, the largest in the Dothraki Sea. But so what? Mace Tyrell could raise an army of 80,000 if he wanted to. Does that make him a great warrior? Okay, bad example because Mace is the biggest Chad in Westeros. But the reason why it's impressive in the case of Khal Drogo is because of his culture. The Dothraki are a warrior culture that prioritizes strength at arms. Might makes right in their eyes, and they don't follow those who they think are weaker than themselves. And none are stronger than Khal Drogo, otherwise he wouldn't be in charge. With that said, judging Drogo's capabilities can be a little on the difficult side. Kind of like a special peacock we talked about on my previous Iron Throwdown, Drogo does not have any feats that we see in the books. However, unlike Dario, it's not Drogo who is boasting about his accomplishments. It is his subjects and enemies who proclaim his skill at arms, and there are confrontations to show this. When Drogo declared that he would invade Westeros, he began sacking cities in order to sell slaves to buy ships, and one of these incidents resulted in him battling against Khal Ogo, who he slew personally along with his son Fogo soon after. His own appearance also gives us some hints along these lines. His long hair that falls down to his thighs indicates that he has never lost a battle, as when the Dothraki lose, and somehow do not die, they cut their hair and lay it down at those who defeated them. While on the topic of his appearance, however, there is something rather obvious about Drogo, and that is a massive lack of armor. The Dothraki feel that those who wear armor are weak and cowardly, and Drogo is no exception. This gives him a bit of a glass cannon fighting style, though that's not a perfect description, as Drogo is a lot faster than any cannon. He has been described as gliding by simply walking, so one can only imagine the speed he can initiate when actually in battle. The final bit of information to go over would be his choice of weapon, an arak, which, despite how the show interpreted it, is more akin to a scimitar, a long curved blade perfect for hacking away infantry while riding on horseback, though in this case, both combatants will be on foot. Alright, everything one needs to know has been told about these two fighters. All that is left is to declare a winner, and in my completely unprofessional opinion, the winner is... Brienne of Tough. This, like many of my battles, is a rather close one. Drogo clearly has the advantage in speed, being more lightly clad, and may even have a strength advantage compared to Brienne, but I don't think the difference is enough to overcome Brienne's biggest advantage here, her weapons and armor. Drogo's weapon is perfect for cutting down lightly armored opponents like his fellow Dothraki, who he probably most often faced in battle, but against a male hauberk, it makes his weapon almost useless. He would need to focus on her exposed weaknesses, which would be the head, but as fast as Drogo is, I don't think his speed is enough to overcome her shield, which she can easily fend off most attacks from his arak. And while not as fast as Drogo, Brienne isn't exactly slow. She's not dressed in full plate, so the speed reduction would be minimal, and using a Valyrian steel blade that is lighter and thus faster to swing would make her a very dangerous opponent. And since Drogo does not have a range advantage, any attack he would make puts him in range of her blade. She just needs one solid hit to claim victory, while Drogo needs a far more precious and precise blow to claim his own victory. And also, this last bit may seem a little nitpicky, but I assure you it's not. Drogo's hair. I am sorry, but there is a reason why most people don't go into battle with their hair hanging down past their ass, and that is because if someone grabs it, you're fucked. I don't care how strong you are. You could be Gregor Clegane, but if someone like Brienne is able to hold on to your hair and yank on it, you're pretty much in their control, and all that speed you have over her would vanish. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Nobody's perfect after all. You think I'm putting too much emphasis on Brienne's weapons and armor superiority? And you think Drogo's speed would be enough to overcome it more often than not? I'd love to hear your reasoning in the comments down below. Until then, be safe and have a wonderful day.